Hey guys, Fantastic Mr. S here again, and you're watching Dangerously Rockin' Reviews! I bet it's no surprise to you guys that I'm a huge Beatles fan, as you can see right here. But it may surprise some of you that I love their song Yellow Submarine. I dare even say it's one of my favorites. Why? Well, it wasn't the first Beatles song I ever heard. It was definitely one of the first that I ever remember getting hooked on. Because you had Ringo Starr on drums and lead vocals, which I always thought was pretty cool. But that's not what grabbed my attention. What grabbed my attention was the fact that singing on it was the same guy who would go on to narrate the first 2 seasons of Thomas the Tank Engine. Okay, very funny. Very funny. But you gotta understand that this is my childhood we're talking about here. I mean, I think you'd feel the same way if I laughed at you for liking, Ziggy Marley for that Arthur theme. Anyways, what's good about Yellow Submarine? Well, there's Ringo's performance, for one thing. Yeah, his vocal range is limited, especially compared to those of John, Paul, and George, but he makes really good use of his limitations. He's got a childlike innocence to his voice, but he also sounds mature and wise. I really admire that in a singer.
Many more of them live next door, and the band begins to play.
And that's how I'd pretty much describe the song as a whole, too. Hell, I didn't even know this was a Beatles song until I was about 14 or so. It didn't even sound like it apart from having Ringo's voice and those simple drum beats on it. I mean, it sounds more like something you'd expect from the Mamas and the Papas. But that's not a bad thing. Far from it, actually. And having the acoustic guitars played in a different tuning than most of their other material definitely works here. There's not much to the instrumentation itself, but still gives the song that warm, innocent, and nostalgic tone. Although there are some people I've talked to about Yellow Submarine, like my brother, for instance, who don't like the song. And honestly, I don't know why. Is it because it's too simplistic? Is it because the lyrics are too childish? I'm stumped. While we're on the subject, I could mention what the song is about, but I think if you just take the lyrics at face value, they pretty much speak for themselves.
And we live beneath the waves in our yellow submarine.
Yeah, that's about it, right? Well, that kind of depends on how you interpret it. The Beatles themselves imagined it as just a nonsense song, which I guess is understandable why people wouldn't like it. Some critics have thought of it as a political statement against the Vietnam War, while others saw it as arrogant and boastful about living a life of luxury. I never saw it either of those ways. I just thought of it as a simple adventure kind of song. And personally, I've always liked the idea of living underwater in a submarine. A yellow submarine, actually. That'd be the life. My only real issue with the song is that, like I said, there's very little to the instrumentation, although that's not really saying much. Sure, you could argue that if a song puts more thought into its lyrics than anything else about it, it can become pretty dull over time. I know my friend Cokes made that argument before. And while that is a valid point, I feel that's more of a matter of personal taste, and which song you're talking about. But you know what? I think that between the day I first heard it and today, Yellow Submarine not only holds up, but it holds up beautifully. Yes, from a musical and lyrical standpoint, it's not the most sophisticated, although then again, the Beatles were never really known for that. But that was always part of their charm. And it's no different on Yellow Submarine. It's innocent and harmless, and depending on your point of view, it's got plenty of nostalgic value. It does have its haters, true, but to quote Taylor Swift, God damn it. Haters gonna hate. And even though I don't listen to it as often as I did before, I still love Yellow Submarine, and I probably always will. And nonsensical as it is, I'll definitely take that over any of Swift's nonsense any day. And hey, if you're living with someone who doesn't like this song, you can always use it as a way to wake them up in the morning if they're dawdling. Worked for me once when I had to wake up my brother. But anyways, epic win.
Epic win!
I'm the fantastic Mr. S, and you're watching Dangerously Rockin' Reviews!